will be the one to carry the weight. Without someone who's leading the team, may crumble and fall.
The most important quality a captain can have is to be resilient and to have a strong mental fortitude.
We will charge and be brave through the challenges that we will face going forward.
So whether we're losing a lot of rounds or winning a lot of rounds, we want to make sure this doesn't define us.
Being a team captain is leading by example.
I think that the most important responsibility of being a captain is you'll be the one to carry the weight. Without someone who's leading the team, may crumble and fall.
The most important quality a captain can have is to be resilient and to have a strong mental fortitude.
We will charge and be brave through the challenges that we will face going forward.
So whether we're losing a lot of rounds or winning a lot of rounds, we want to make sure this doesn't define us.
Being a team captain is leading by example.
I think that the most important responsibility of being a captain is you'll be the one to carry the weight. Without someone who's leading the team, may crumble and fall.
The most important quality a captain can have is to be resilient and to have a strong mental fortitude.
We will charge and be brave through the challenges that we will face going forward.
So whether we're losing a lot of rounds or winning a lot of rounds, we want to make sure this doesn't define us.
Being a team captain is leading by example.
I think that the most important responsibility of being a captain is you'll be the one to carry the weight. Without someone who's leading the team, may crumble and fall.
The most important quality a captain can have is to be resilient and to have a strong mental fortitude.
We will charge and be brave through the challenges that
I think that the most important responsibility of being a captain is you'll be the one to carry the weight. Without someone who's leading the team, may crumble and fall.
The most important quality a captain can have is to be resilient and to have a strong mental fortitude.
We will charge and be brave through the challenges that we will face going forward.
So whether we're losing a lot of rounds or winning a lot of rounds, we want to make sure this doesn't define us.
Being a team captain is leading by example.
anytime, and
Responsibility of being a captain is you'll be the one to carry the weight. Without someone who's leading the team, may crumble and fall.
The most important quality a captain can have is to be resilient and to have a strong mental fortitude.
We will charge and be brave through the challenges that we will face going forward.
So whether we're losing a lot of rounds or winning a lot of rounds, we want to make sure this doesn't define us.
Being a team captain is leading by example.
shot.
mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Good day, everyone. May we all pause for a moment of prayer. As we begin this gathering, let us be grateful for the opportunity to come together in the spirit of competition, learning, and community. May the UAAP Esports 2026 be guided by fairness, respect, and integrity. Allow the teams to compete with focus and determination. The officials carry out their responsibilities with wisdom and impartiality, and every member of the audience celebrate the games with positivity and sportsmanship. May we value not only the outcome of the matches, but also the teamwork, resilience, and friendship built through competitive professional gaming. Keep us grounded, reminded that our greatest achievements are not only for ourselves, but also for the schools and the communities we represent. Lead us in manifesting the best support and growth for one another as we create every meaningful experience for everyone. Amen. You may now take your seats.
Testing, mic check, mic check. Welcome back to the UAAP Esports MLBB Tournament 2026. And we are heading straight to our drafting phase for now. Miggy, Arayata, Theo Ignacio, still your shoutcasters for today. It's still the first match, a match between former champions, University of the East and DLSU.
Yeah, this is the debut game of our UAAP MLBB Season 88. And of course, it's a battle of champions. Season 1 champion versus Season 2 defending champions, DLSU.
It's going to be interesting to see how this will pan out. This is our first match of the day. We're going to have tons of best of twos, and by tons we mean around six matches, so around 12 games in total. Heading on straight to your channel right now, live in the One Sports YouTube channel, in the UAAP Varsity channel, and Pilipinas Live. We are yet to start game number 1, but we are about to start our drafting phase.
Exactly. We're going to be seeing that's the thing, or that's the beauty of collegiate MLBB. It's a mix of everything. You have your underground, your amateur exposure, your pro leagues exposure. So we're going to be seeing a melting pot of new strategies, game plans, and possibly new metas to unfold.
Yeah, man, hopefully a lot of pages to be turned here for UAAP and a lot of things to study from professional play. We did see a lot of references for the current metagame for MLBB for the past few weeks.
Exactly.
Now that we are about to start our drafting phase, it seems that University of the East will be drafting on the blue side and DLSU on the red side for game number 1.
Yeah, and you know how it goes. When you're in the blue side, you tend to dictate the pace of the draft. So you're going to really see how UE is going to play this out. But of course, right from the get-go, there is Fanny being banned. Apologies, we're still going to be waiting on the bans from UE. But of course, with that, they're the ones dictating the pace of the draft. So it's going to be up to DLSU Green Aces how they're going to respond to it.
That's true. And it seems that Fanny will be actually banned out coming in from DLSU against University of the East. And we will be waiting for the University of the East bans, however. as of now for DLSU, they will be continuing the banning phase, taking away the Melissa as well. A lot of meta picks in the current meta game taken away by DLSU, and it seems the updated bans coming in from University of the East will be taking away 2 roamers away from the hands of Godoy, taking away the Marcel and the Atlas.
Yeah, and if you're going to be considering this, these are big game-setting heroes. So, of course, they feel that as Godoy is the team captain, of course, he's the one who's calling the shots. And it seems like they really want to respect his hero pool.
That's true. And now for the first pick, blue side, a lot of open assassins to take here if you're University of the East. But of course, there might be other choices here. The Belleric open as well if ever UE wants to take this for themselves.
Yeah, I'm seeing the very open hero pool for the junglers at least. But of course, adding to that as well, we are seeing a bit. I feel like they're going to be doing a bit of a flex pick, I think. I see that. I see that happening because you're seeing a lot of open possibilities here. And as you said, Umi, it's going to be the Hirara on the side of DLSU, rather.
Very
and they
interesting.
are taking it.
Yeah, very interesting. It seems that we're actually having a swap of sides here. DLSU will be the ones playing on the blue side. UE are the ones playing on the red side instead. And with that, DLSU will be taking Tating's Hirara for their first pick. And for the red side first and second pick, they're going to secure a potential XP lane and a sure ball mid laner with that Eudora.
Yeah, we've been seeing Eudora pop up, especially after that the changes or the revamp to her rather. She's become one of the stronger burst mages here in the mid lane. Really there to dish out the damage against the assassins.
Yes.
And speaking of dishing out the damage, you're going to be seeing that Selena here on the side of DLSU as well. And we know that they have a lot of burst.
They do have a lot of burst, both magic and physical as well. Pairing it up with a Belleric that might still be a flex pick between the XP lane and the roamer. We're back to the banning phase for DLSU, but it seems that University East will be getting that Hilda first.
Quick picks?
Yeah, very quick pick, and this is still a flex pick between potential roam or actually this is most likely just roam. The XP lane is already locked in with that Alice.
Yeah, and with that Alice and with that Hilda pick, it seems like UE's game is very vision. They have so much potential zone out or vision score in their lineup, especially with the Hilda pick, you know, with the Alice as well being that strong frontliner, noticeably with the build that's being played around now. But then you also have to consider how DLSU is playing that they, in a way, also have their own way of vision. It's through their elusiveness, how much mobility they have. That's the vision they're going to be giving. So it's still an open court in a way when you're looking at these two lineups, especially with their first 3 picks being as flexible as they can be.
That's true. And what's interesting right now for DLSU is they're taking away physical damage options for the side of University of the East, considering that in terms of magic damage, University of the East already has secured that with the Alice and the Eudora. They do need a bit of hold, though. DLSU might be able to take away any options in terms of crowd control additionally, especially coming in from the jungle role. We're not quite sure if this is going to be an assassin jungle matchup between UE and DLSU, or maybe we would see glimpses of the old meta taking up with a tank jungle such as the Fredrin or the Baksha, but I'm not quite sure. The Hirara's just really fast in terms of clearing out those waves.
Yeah, it's going to be, as you mentioned, it's going to be about that lockdown. You're going to be considering, yes, you may play utility. There's still an opportunity or there's still a chance to play that utility jungler. But of course, you have to also add to that how it's spaced in the meta, how much, how important it is to get the early rotations nowadays in the current meta. That's why the pickups of the assassin junglers have become crucial. And of course, all the while we're seeing that DLSU's ban of the Paquito, it's an added burst, it's a physical burst damage dealer. So of course, you want to be able to take that off of the equation, because if you want to be surviving this, especially with a somewhat soft lineup, though there is that elusivity with how Selena and Hirara move around, you still want to make sure that you can survive to the long game or the long engagements.
That's true. And for DLSU, they could definitely take away another jungle option here. Maybe pinch out the Nolan, making sure that there's no other assassin that could speed up or maybe outspeed the Hirara. But then again, that's a physical damage dealer, and potentially they need to take away crowd control for University of the East. But they're going to go for a late game option instead, taking away the Claude. Now red 4 pickup for University of the East. They're still looking for their potential gold laner or potential jungler.
Yeah, I'm liking the Claude ban here, because especially with how that opens up the 2 picks for the side of UE. But of course, we're going to be waiting for red pick 4, which is going to be coming from UE. And then we're going to see how it's going to really unfold. We're looking at the missing links being the gold laner and potentially a jungler or a roam, because we still have no idea. Yeah.
Any heroes in your mind right now?
We're probably going to be looking at an assassin plus a marksman gold laner. I think, because with the Claude being taken out, we are seeing that Moskov being picked up on the side of UE. So they have that insurance policy into the late game, especially with the Trinity build there, which is the Moskov.
Yep, and with that Moskov, that would at least give some sort of self-sustenance for this gold laner, at least be able to survive on its own or maybe even join fights from across the map. And now for DLSU, blue 4 and blue 5 pickups. They're still looking for a very quick lock-in on the Hanabi and the Rafaela, which means that this will be an XP lane Belleric with a Rafaela onto the hands of Godoy. Unless they switch it up and put the Rafaela in the mid lane and the Selena on the roam.
Yeah, it's still a flex pick. You don't know whether or not. It's going to be a very responsive one. Of course, we're still seeing UE still on the flex, but the Hanabi with the Rafaela, we've seen how the world is healing with the Rafaela pick, especially with the fact that to be able to capitalize on the Rafaela, you have to take out 2 members of DLSU to be able to secure one quote-unquote pick off.
That's true. And I think that's one of the hardest ways to put it about when it comes to late game. You would want to be able to pick off people. And is this real? Is this actually real? Oh, I think this is real. This is a Saber locked in for University of the East to counter out the potential late game monster that is the Hanabi. They're gonna take in this Saber for single target damage with the Eudora as well. So, wow, a lot of burst damage coming in from University of the East. Meanwhile, a lot of sustained late game efforts for DLSU.
Yes, I agree with you, Umi. That one word, burst, is what UE's lineup is all about. You're going to have to be very wary of where you're going to be walking, because you don't know if you're suddenly going to be burst down by Eudora. You don't know if you're going to be suddenly burst down by a Saber. You don't know which one to build first or prioritize. Are you going to go for magic armor? Or are you going to go for physical armor? It's really up in the air. But DLSU's lineup, though, you have the security, you have the sustain. So it's really about having... It's a whole rock, paper, scissors kind of experience.
This is a classic case of early game versus late game here. And based on what we've seen in professional games for the past few days, it seems that early game is heavily favored by a lot of teams as we enter the Land of Dawn for game number 1 of our first series of the day. It's going to be DLSU versus University of the East. And it seems that Bartolo here from University of the East with a very early flicker because of a very aggressive engage.
Yeah, that's what you're going to be expecting from the Hilda. That is the early game vision that Hilda provides. And of course, since she is one of the frontliners, you also have to consider the tank versus tank matchup here in the XP lane. But it seems like they really want to have this early game pressure here in the mid lane, with Lim securing the first blood with that visit from Tating.
And that is quite unfortunate here for University of the East, considering that they want to have that early game tempo. But getting that kill off early on against Bartolo means that this Hilda would have to rethink his choices for the next few minutes. And maybe even wait for Kabigting to get his level 4 before he could get at least a kill on Tating.
You mentioned that the early game is very impactful and very much needed in our highly aggressive metagame. And DLSU with that strong first blood start is going to continue this for them potentially, of course, but it's going to be a bit of an adjustment. There's going to be a delay in the rotation from the mid lane coming from UE. But of course, you still have to consider how much burst they still have early on. It's not done. The game is not sealed, even with that first blood, but there's now a team fight going on here in the mid lane.
And there you go. Tating getting killed out by Kabigting's triple sweep. And this is something that we already called early on, Miggy. We are waiting for the Saber to reach level 4 to try and get a kill off of the jungler. And it seems that University of the East has already taken that into account as we set up for the first turtle of the game.
Yeah, give Kabigting that level 4. He will take care of Tating, and that is what's happening now, especially with that exchange. We're going to be seeing an equalize in the gold lead, and now it's going to be a turtle dance we're about to be seeing. It's matchup between LaSalle versus UE, but of course UE with that Hilda could just secure a bit more vision.
Yeah, vision is very important, but it seems that in terms of sustaining around this turtle, DLSU might just have the edge here. Throne of Ruin lands onto one, SOD lands as well. Santos in the middle of a lot of things, Purify out, and the arrow once again lands, a missile arrow flicker, and that's going to be Santos going down. It seems that the triple sweep, not enough, but Godoy does go down as well. Ong looks to be the next target here. Frederizo looking for that Alice engage, as Bartolo gets another kill in front of the turret. It's almost a wipeout for DLSU. UE gets that win.
That sudden exchange, that one SOD, though they were able to give Santos his first death, that is the insurance policy that UE needs to survive, especially here. But of course, being in the late game, it's okay to lose a bit of gold early on as long as you scale. But that was beautifully played by UE, especially with how they responded to Ong's Wrath of the Dryad. And they were the ones who secured that 4 kills over DLSU.
And this is just the jackpot here for Kalika. Getting that Eudora up to 2-0-2 quite early on in this game means he's an actual threat to anyone inside the DLSU roster. But let's not forget, DLSU is built for late game. Losing this team fight against University of the East might be bad for them, but as long as that doesn't happen again for around 2 or 3 times, they should be A-okay entering the 15-minute mark.
Yeah, and if we're looking at this right now, the way the map is being played, there's a lot of pressure here in the gold lane with their lane shoving, with UE's lane shoving in, but of course they're gonna dive. Sanchez and Bartolo takes the kill with that turret dive in the second turret. But of course, we are gonna see Godoy's Rafaela revive them with that exchange yet again. We're seeing so much aggressive gameplay here with Big Ting being taken out as an exchange.
And Kalika also forced to flicker out. Bartolo looks to be the target here for Tating. It seems that this Hilda is just too tanky to deal with. What a trade up top. That was such a great arrow coming in from Lim. But University of the East going all in to get a kill towards that gold laner. But it seems that DLSU will be the ones to take the turret instead. Turtle number 2 is up for grabs. It seems that University of the East has placed their mark around that turtle.
They are playing very aggressively. With the early game damage they have, we're seeing a trade-off between Ong and Frederizo here in the turtle pit. But of course, DLSU yet again to hold this turtle. Now they're waiting if there's going to be a response coming from UE. There's going to be no exchange, but Tating secures this turtle.
Yep, Throne of Ruin thrown as a decoy, I'd say. University of the East making the smart move of not just going in, making sure that they do get the fights that they want, and this might just be an invade coming in from Bartolo. SOD trying to land on towards the bottom lane, but it seems that it's not gonna land for Santos. And now University of the East still ahead by almost just 200. Not that big of a gold lead, but they're gonna go for this Hanabi. Triple sweep onto that kill. Sanchez goes down. Lim is too late for the party.
That was a big kill for the side of UE, but of course we're gonna feel it again. There is Godoy with the resurrection going on to Sanchez's Hanabi. Now that is the pickup they wanted, but then Sanchez is just going to be going back into the lane. Yes. We're going to be seeing a scramble here in the mid lane. What's going to be happening? But of course, did that Wrath of the Dryad to start it all off with Kalika being taken out. Bartolo trying to fend them off.
Wow.
But that is 1 kill for DLSU.
That was a great Wrath of the Dryad coming in from Ong. But UE still ahead in this early game means that they could take whatever they want as long as they have their ultimates on. Speaking of the ultimates, the Big Ting looking for his next big ulti here, but we are still waiting onto that play to happen. But it seems that bottom lane is the next target here for DLSU and UE. Federizo going to defend here. A 3v1 scenario, but able to dash out.
They're seeing a fun buddy-buddy system, but here we are, Federizo with Bartolo here in the middle, 2v4 scenario, but Federizo got taunted out. That's going to be a painful kill on the XP laner.
Definitely painful. A lot of pain up atop as well. Tating gets an off-cam kill against Santos. Now 0-2-1 on his Moskova. DLSU still behind 300. University of the East looking for the next big opportunity. Might just be the next turtle, the last turtle of the game. In terms of turtle takes, it seems that it has been a 1-for-1 trade so far, and DLSU will be the ones setting up for this last turtle.
The last turtle is in the hands of DLSU. It seems like UE is going to be giving it away for free. And that is going to be the turtle yet again for DLSU. And now it's up to them. They have an extra shield from the turtle, so they might be looking to play more aggressively, but we have to wait and see, especially with how much their lanes are just shoving into UE's side of the map.
That's true. And UE trying to get what they can right now. Still a very close game between the two. They still have enough damage to burst anyone right in the front lines. And meanwhile for DLSU, they're just patiently scaling towards the late game. The moment that Hirara gets into level 12, level 13, maxing out those abilities, the cooldown reduction on the falling Maple just allows her to survive for so long inside a team fight. The University of the East, they'd have to burst down the Hirara the moment that they find him.
But then there's going to be something going on here in the top side. It's going to be Federizo with the Rather Dryad. Ong's response to it. Federizo goes down. SOD did connect, but there might be no connection coming from Santos. Now that is the inner turret on the side of UE, on the top side. With this enhanced buddy system that DLSU is showing, they are just pressuring. They are making sure that UE cannot get any pickoffs in their lineup.
Yep, and checking out the items right now is Sky Piercer towards that Hirara means that he might just get another one. But it's going to be Sanchez getting that kill in the mid lane. Trying to push out as well. They're going to go in as a 5-man unit invading around this purple bomb of University of the East. Tapping with the retribution, but Kabigting gets it with his own. And now, 30 seconds before the first Lord spawns, University of the East has lost control of this game. A 2K gold lead for DLSU.
The name of the game is pressure, and DLSU is pressuring UE on both the teams, the lineups, and the waves. We're seeing a crash, a complete crash of the waves here onto the side of UE side of the map. It's 15 seconds to the next Lord. But now we're seeing a lot more pressure, a lot more damage coming from the line of DLSU. They have activated their win condition.
Yep, patience game for DLSU. Sanchez might be 1, 2, and 3 right now, but it's getting increasingly hard to find that marksman towards the back line as the Lord spawns. DLSU definitely has the better position to try and get this for themselves. But University of the East, they cannot allow DLSU to just get whatever they want for free. So they're going to go in. Trap onto Bartolo. Federizo looking for the potential engage, but Tating finds it first. A missile arrow does land. Stun locking Federizo, but a throw to ruin up to 3. And the Sky Piercer takes him down, half HP on his Lord. University of the East, are they still gonna fight this? Looks like they will not. And DLSU will be getting the first Lord of the game for a turret trade up top.
That is the first Lord coming to the side of DLSU. Now they're pressuring the mid with the stun lock onto Godoy. First down, but then the exchange was actually Kabigting. That is going to be very painful, but of course, it's going to be neutered just because Santos was able to provide that side lane pressure to make sure that the Lord lane, where the Lord is pushing, is not going to be able to meet in time with the other waves, thus preventing the crash of all 3 lanes.
And this is still very much a competitive game for both squads here. Just a 3.5k gold lead or a 3,000 flat gold lead here for the DLSU. University of the East, they could still burst anyone in the front lines given that they're able to just chain their crowd control, get their damage in. For the past few fights, Federizo has been taken out here by DLSU mainly because the main engage tool coming in from University of the East, it feels that there's a disconnect between these teams as the Lord marches up top.
Yeah, but with a quick item check, we also saw how advantageous Sanchez is with the Hanabi right now with almost a 1.5k gold lead, and with Santos just completing the Trinity, it might just be a level playing field. But then of course they're waiting for that power spike onto Moskov. It's just a matter of time if they're gonna be good enough, if they're gonna try to defend this. But that inhibitor turret is gonna be a painful blow onto the side of UE.
Yeah, but it seems that the trade here for Santos is to get another turret down bottom lane. If the goal for DLSU is to group up as 5 and find kills and objectives together, the adverse is true here for University of the East. What they want to do is to divide and conquer, and it seems that another Abyssal Arrow lands, and that's going to be Bartolo going down with another turret trade down bottom lane. Both DLSU and UE getting what they want.
Yeah, that was beautiful skill layering from the side of DLSU. The way they were able to just layer the stun from the arrow, the Abyssal Arrow, into the taunt from Ong. That, and added to that, is the Holy Baptism coming from Godoy. It's just stun lock anyone who gets picked off. But of course, you still have the Wrath of the Dryad for that AoE, that team fight. You can see how these drafts, how the lineups are actually being played out here. Adding to that, that thing having around 20 Sky Piercer stacks, I believe, on his Hirara. It's going to be a hard-fought fight, but of course this game isn't over yet with the Lord coming in 30 seconds.
Yep, and 12 minutes in, I think it's already established that Sanchez cannot be touched as long as Godoy is right next to him. Now University of the East defending down bottom lane. The Shurikens are already swimming around here for Kabigting. Throne of Ruin onto 4 onto the backline. SOD lands as well. Kabigting looking for his target. Finds the Benedict only, but Tating finds Federizo first. And in the backline, Kabigting falls down as well. All still alive after all of that. And Kalika might just be next. But Yui Santos with a stun right under the turret. But Godoy revives him either way. University of the East, they defended, but at what cost?
The world is healing, but it's for the side of DLSU. They were able to secure 3 kills onto the side of UE with that inhibitor turret, defense, and aggression. Now they're going to be able to secure the Lord. They played it really well, macro and micro-wise, just because they were able to force engagements onto Tating, but then of course Godoy with the resurrection, the revive, to make sure that they can connect and secure the next Lord.
Yeah, it's just a lot of tempo control for De La Salle University here, just because of having that Rafaela, just because we've reached the 13-minute mark. And usually we see the power spike coming in from this Hanabi at around 13 to 15 minutes inside the game, but because they have played spectacularly well for the past few minutes, now we're ahead by almost 5,000 gold. University of the East is forced into a decision. They need to find a pickup before a team fight happens.
Yeah, and with that, with DLSU having all the gems or all the marbles, UE still has a chance. There's still this ray of hope. The question is, how are they going to be peeling this team fight with their pick-off potential? It's going to be a matter of time because right now, waves are crashing into UE's base.
Yep, the Lord marching up top as well. And Kalika, very low HP here. They're going to look for Tating! Tating goes down! Oh, a crucial pickup coming in from UE. And it seems that they're going to go in for the Lord first. 3 inhibitor turns down. Throne of Ruin used as well by Federizo. But 4 members are still alive here for De La Salle University. And it seems that they're going to call it off. Without Tating, they cannot fight freely. Bartolo onto the backline, riding the flying cloud. SOD. Is Santos going to pull the trigger? It seems that UE will not pull that trigger and defend instead.
It was a decision, but it was a great decision as well. It was a matter of time because you have to consider, you have to weigh the pros and cons. With that pushback, there was the aggression. They saw that the thing, they saw DLSU was taken down. They had the numbers advantage, but it was still, you still have to consider the gold. You still have to consider the items. You still have to consider the positioning because if they cannot peel Sanchez out with Bartolo, with the vision, was able to flicker out of the Wrath of the Dryad. But of course, that they have the info now, they have the intel. Are they going to play around with it? That's the question.
No flicker on Bartolo for the upcoming Lord fight. Might just be very crucial here for University of the East. They need to be able to reach Sanchez or maybe at least pick off Tating as fast as possible. It worked out for them in that base defense because Tating was right in front of everyone and the stun landed at the perfect time. But you cannot rely on perfect timing alone. You need to be able to position right around that Lord area. Find that pick off if you're University of the East. And DLSU on the other hand, stay as 5.
Yes, the buddy-buddy system that's been working for them, that's staying as 5, is what's giving Sanchez the opportunity to actually position really well, be able to, you know, basically free hit. That's what been happening because Sanchez just has enough lineup. He has the sustain coming from Godoy, who has the Oasis Flash, gives him the shield. CC immunity goes on to Hanabi every time she has a shield. And of course, you have to add to that the other layer. Yes, Ong is tanky on the Belleric, but you also have a game-setting ultimate on that Belleric, that Wrath of the Dryad, to prevent any more pressure and damage onto Sanchez. Now with the Lord Dance happening, what is UE's next move?
Half HP onto this Lord. DLSU not rushing to take this Lord. They know that they have the wave advantage, and they're just going to dance around this as UE tries to scramble and look for opportunities elsewhere. DLSU starting this Lord once again. This will be a very long dance for University of the East. DLSU doesn't have to force anything.
DLSU does not have to force anything, and they are the ones securing, but they want to make something happen with that engagement. DOR connects onto 5, and that is the thing down. UE now has the pressure. They're going to be going. SOD connects. They pop out immortality from Ong. Now it's Santos just playing very aggressive. He wants to take. He's out for blood. The Holy Baptism hits, but Santos with that Wind of Nature securing. But then Sanchez goes down, and Santos is just putting on the pressure. Though they have to be worried. The Rafaela Godoy was able to survive. Sanchez has been resurrected, and now they have a way to defend the base.
And this means that even if University of the East technically did get the pickoffs that they want, they still cannot take this Lord for themselves. Mainly because they have to defend all 3 lanes that they lost early on. And with his Lord already spawned, it's just gonna take Tating a couple of seconds to come, and DLSU has all the free lanes to start this. Great revive coming in from Godoy, which gives them this Lord.
This is when insurance pays off, because right now, because of the early game pressure, early game impact DLSU was able to do, they were able to secure this Lord just because they were able to plant the seeds, and now it's bearing fruit.
And now with that Lord secured once again, DLSU, perfect objective takings in terms of the Lord. They have another chance here to seal the deal with one big push. And maybe for University of the East, they have to play something unorthodox. They have to find something at the back line before the Lord marches in, because the moment this Lord marches in the base, might just be good as over.
We've seen it happen. We saw how they played out the last team fight with them taking the advantage, taking the lead. All that happened was it's just that their waves were crashing in. So there is still that potential turnaround. As we know, MLBB, new era with the TOR.
Wow, in the back line, Kabig Ding. Tating finds him first, and Tating gets to reset as well. Godoy looks to be the next target. Bartolo still alive. Federico just sustaining the hell out of everyone, but he's gonna get Sanchez. No, Sanchez will get him as the Lord takes down the base of UE. That's game 1 for DLSU.
Beautiful early game coming from DLSU. They were able to secure their early game win condition, to secure a great late game for Sanchez's Hanabi, and that was what snowballed them into this game.
And to be honest, it was a great game for University of the East as well. They found the opportunities that they wanted. It just so happens that when it came to late game, Hanabi is quite unmatched.
Exactly. And you gotta highlight, since we're highlighting the gold lanes, the way Santos played the Moskov in the latest or the last engagement in the Lord. It was beautiful. It was like a 5v1 scenario. They were able to do it. But here, we could see that Ong set was what dictated the pace of their early game, especially with how much damage UE had. The way LaSalle was able, or DLSU was able to just prevent so much damage, especially with the pickup of Rafaela with Godoy, they really had to play the pick-off game, and they were able to maximize it here in this team fight.
Yep, almost for University of the East, but DLSU, their bets to play it safe gave them this game number 1. Sure, they did find Sanchez quite early on, twice, thrice even, but the moment that mid to late game started, even if we are looking at Federico having a great setups for his team and sustaining a lot longer than expected. I think this was the fight where Santos popped up.
Yeah, this was it.
This could have been the University of the East game, but that was a well-timed stun as well coming in from Godoy. Without that, I feel like Santos would have been able to clear that out.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, speaking of, it was Godoy who's our MVP, because that Rafaela showcase, she wasn't just there as a healing machine. He was there to make sure that their lineup was always complete. No man was left behind, because Godoy was there to make sure that they were able to join. He's that one friend who makes sure everyone in the group is invited to every getaway.
Well, Godoy, defending champion of UAAP MLBB Esports with a KDA of 4-2 and 17. A lot of assists, granted that he is playing that Rafaela, but as you said, Miggy, what actually was one of the biggest things for this game alone, the reason why he's MVP is because of that revive. That very timely revive that would allow them to keep up with the tempo despite having the pickups coming in from University of the East.
Exactly. He's that one friend who always goes, I got you, don't worry about it. And that's what we saw, because even the stuns, as long as it wasn't just the revive, as long as he was there, as long as there was a dying friend, he was there to heal them, making sure that even the queue of the stuns, that was it. That was what made them secure this early game. They were able to secure late game as well because of it.
Yep, and for De La Salle University, a short reset before game number 2. They've already secured 1 point. Now they have a chance to secure 3 points if they do for the sweep. And that would mean that the defending champions right now with a 3-point lead against the others in the groups, that's just a great start for DLSU if ever they do get that.
Exactly. That's going to be a matter of momentum, you know?
In terms of momentum, DLSU has already secured that, and we are going to be able to wait for the next game, which means that University of the East could potentially mount a comeback, maybe brew up something new.
Yeah, it's going to be a matter of time, because right now the momentum is in the ball of the DLSU's court, so it's going to be about a matter of adjusting the draft now. As you know, they suddenly pulled out this new and old strat, you know?
Yeah, it's very new. Also, it's in the middle
Yeah.
of the current meta game that we've seen so far in professional. And now watching collegiate, watching UAAP, it's going to be interesting to see whether or not the adjustments are going to come in for University of the East. Shockingly so, in a way that you suddenly see a lot of late game options or maybe bigger early game. But also in terms of shot calling, maybe they would be able to adjust that. But so far, we are just going to celebrate with DLSU so far because that game 1 victory gave them the first ever win here in season number 3. As we go on over, maybe talk to our winners for match number 1.
Exactly, and it's gonna be fun. So it's gonna be a matter of, I'd say, as you mentioned, since we are looking at a best of 2, it's gonna be, as we mentioned, UE has to really mix it up, change it up, and of course, LaSalle is gonna keep up the pace because drafting in MLBB rather, it's different for every type of series, you know, best of 2, best of 3. And right now we have a best of 2 series wherein LaSalle has the advantage, LaSalle has the momentum. So right now, how are you gonna adjust knowing that this is gonna be the last game of the series?
Yeah, and again, this is best of 2, so it's fixed between all of our matches in general. So you would like to get that 2-0 or maybe getting that 1-1, at least securing a point and denying an additional point to your fellow groupmate. In this case, DLSU already huddling for game number 2. They know what worked there in game number 1 and would like to replicate their same results.
Yeah, with this one, it's gonna be a matter of really just feeling the vibe because sometimes the draft is gonna be crucial. Actually, draft is very crucial right now, and the matter of execution, you have to consider how it's gonna be played out. Right now, we're gonna be seeing LaSalle already being prepped, and now UE is having, as we can see, UE is gonna be they have to have that reset, they have to have that mindfulness. So it's gonna be them now really adjusting, and we can see the coach is really giving them that talk, that pep talk.
Yeah, they do need it. After that game, they had their chances. They had opportunities to get the momentum or maybe even flip the script, and they did play towards their win conditions. They had a Moskov on towards the bottom lane, getting those turrets. I think they were able to secure around 3 to 4 turrets out of split pushes alone. So they did play to their win conditions. It's just that in terms of late game, we've already established this during the draft that it's going to be DLSU getting that late game advantage just because they've drafted that way.
The way they drafted, yeah, actually, speaking of their draft, we were seeing a lot of pickoffs. The game plan of UE was very noticeable with the burst they had. They had the early game burst damage from the Saber, the Eudora. But the way that DLSU tackled it, they were like, we could play the same way. We could follow their pace, or we could delay their pace so that we hit our timing sooner than they did. And that's what happened. That's what they did. And now, are they going to be going back to the game plan? Because we saw it though. In the late game, we saw that Santos was able to pop off.
Yes.
It more or less became a somewhat 50-50. Just because of that, it suddenly boiled down to execution because draft started not mattering because they were able to get the crucial lockdown with the Throne of Ruin to secure a 5-man crowd control on the side of DLSU.
Yeah, but those micro movements coming in from University of the East definitely proved to everyone that they could go toe-to-toe against the defending champions here, DLSU. And Santos' effort towards the late game, getting those 2 kills, almost 3 kills down bottom lane, almost turned the game around, but sadly it wasn't enough for the side of University of the East. Meanwhile, for DLSU, it's just steady cruising, you know? They already had their win conditions in check. They had the Rafaela reviving everyone who got picked off. They have this Hanabi that could just push waves, get the turrets very safely too with the AGs available. So it's going to be big trouble here as we go on to the second game drafting. Mainly because you don't want that to happen again.
Yeah, maybe you have to consider the openness of how they were able to play that draft because as we saw, the bans were coming in. They were heavily targeted, but which meant that other lanes could have a wider hero pool, and you have so much flexibility now with the heroes of MLBB. As we saw, we didn't know whether the Selena was going to go roam. We didn't know if it was going to the mid lane, as well as the Belleric. We didn't know where it was going to be going. So really having that flexibility, giving that giving your lineup that certain. You have to question. It's not just a question A. It's question A, B, and C.
Oh, yeah. There's just a lot of choices here for both squads if ever the moment that the drafting starts. And usually it starts with what side are you drafting on. And for DLSU and University of the East, we've seen DLSU draft on towards the blue side, give a lot of importance to Tating's Hirara, and rightfully so. I know we will be seeing the sides right now. If there will be a side swap, it seems that University of the East will be playing blue side, and DLSU will be the ones drafting from red.
Yeah, and speaking of respect, we have seen now the first three bans rather. On the side of UE, we're seeing the Selena respect ban with the Rafaela. As we saw, they were the dominant forces in the early game into the late game coming from the side of DLSU. All the while, they have picked up their first ban, which was the Freya. Of course, it's still a strong open. You know, people still respect how much damage this Freya has. And now it being flexed in the gold and the XP lane, it's still something you don't want to be dealing with or assessing in the early game.
Yep, and then with the Marcel taken away, the Barats seems to be a very tempting first pick here for University of the East. But DLSU, they might just be prepared for that. We've seen a lot of Carmilla XP laners that are what they call the Barats counter, but it hasn't worked in the professional scene. Maybe it will in the collegiate scene. And DLSU with their final ban, a lot of roamer and mid laner bans coming in from University of the East.
You're seeing, I still feel, it seems like they really respect Godoy's lineup, or they really respect the way Godoy plays, because with these bans, that Atlas, that Rafaela, it's really targeted towards the roam position as we saw, and now it's going to be up for grab. There's still multiple roam position or roam heroes still available. That's meta viable, but of course, we're still going to be potentially waiting on the first pick of UE. And could it be a replication or a replica of what we saw in game number 1?
Well, of course, they'd like to get that same result if you're DLSU. Same is not true here for University of East. They do have the chance to get that Barretts, but it seems like an obvious trap here for DLSU. But it seems that they're going to go for the Melissa instead. This is a very popular opener for Indonesian teams of MLBB. And for DLSU, they could potentially just get the Hirara for themselves.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, why fix it? Because that's why we're going to be seeing it with that, as you mentioned, Umi. It's going to be the Hirara, but now the question is, what the +1 going to be? And it's going to be a Hirara and the Barretts. We've mentioned it also, very meta-stable. Right now still, this more or less justifies or fixes whichever hero is going to go where, because we know Hirara is the jungler, and Barretts is going to be played in the XP lane.
Yep, most likely. And University of the East, they have the chance to get a Novaria, one of the biggest counters for this Barretts, if ever they do want to take it. And obviously, if they want to play the Carmilla, but that could be delayed towards to the last two picks of the blue side. University of the East, they already have the Melissa. They need a strong roamer and a strong mid laner to be able to protect this Melissa.
This Melissa is going to be, yet again, much like game number 1, it's going to be the key factor. It's going to be the insurance, that insurance policy. The way we saw, there is a lot of trust with Santos in UE, because the way they played around him, securing that late game for him, they knew that if he needed the time to carry, he will carry.
Yeah, and there you go. The strong roamer locked in already with this Belleric pickup, but they're gonna go for the Zushin instead of the Novaria, and that means that they will have a lot of more vision and prolonged sustained combat against this Barretts. My only fear here is that it might just be really hard to dodge the Hirara as a Zushin.
Yeah, you're gonna be forced to use a lot of expensive battle spells or spells in general just to be able to get away from the kill AoE or the kill box coming from that Hirara. But it's a good way, because if you want to be protecting the Melissa, if you want to be able to secure the taunts coming from the Belleric, you're going to want to be able to have free reign or control on the positioning of your opponents, especially with the lineup. But we are now seeing the last pick for the first 3 picks. DLSU is going to be opening up and popping off that Kaja, which has just recently gotten a revamp.
Yeah, this revamped Kaja already played in the professional scene, pairs up with a lot of burst mages, which means that University of the East, with their 2 remaining bans, they'd have to take away at least one of the mages, mainly the Aurora, if ever they do want to play against that one. But there are also other options, such as the Vexana or the Eudora. A lot of burst burst mages that usually come into rotation the moment that you get that Kaja. And as we called, it's going to be the Aurora banned out for UE.
Exactly. With this Kaja, as you mentioned, as we're looking at the bans, you really want, from Kaja being a single damage dealer or a single pick-off hero, suddenly can set up for AoE matches. And now we're seeing that quick turnaround with the bans. On the side of UE, they take out the Aurora. As we saw, it is pretty scary, especially with the lockdown coming from that Divine Judgment and into the Aurora. It's just all the crowd control that she has to offer. It's just going to be a hard thing to deal with. But right now, we're waiting on the bans. And the last ban is going to be Hanzo. Another one popping off, mostly in the RG.
Yeah.
In RG, especially with the way it's being built now, very tanky rather than the assassin type. But it's just very elusive as well, very hard to deal with, especially if you do not have that much mobility.
And it seems that Matrix will be the last ban here for University of the East. Red 4 here for DLSU. They could go for their gold lane to not reveal their mid laner before for the last 2 picks here of University of the East. This is the advantage you get when you play red side, and they're able to get that with that Kaja Red 3. I feel like in terms of our marksmen, there are viable options such as the Clint or the Brody, but they're going to go for the Claude instead, matching the late game of this Melissa. And now the choice for University of the East. You're looking for your jungler. You still have assassins such as the Nolan or other assassins as well, such as the Hayabusa, but you need to be able to survive the Divine Binding coming in from this Kaja.
Yes, and adding to that, it's probably there's an open possibility that one of the assassin junglers that might be coming out, adding to the Nolan, is possibly Paquito. Paquito has not yet been banned.
Yeah,
and it's been an up-and-coming counter in the jungle, especially against Hirara.
Yeah, but and the only problem here is that it has no iframes against this Kaja. So this is going to be a really hard choice. Maybe Suyo might have an entrance once again for University of the East, but if they're going to play it by the meta, maybe Paquito does make sense. But they're going to go for the Suyo instead. And now DLSU, final pickup. It's a choice between many burst mages, the Eudora being the safest, but the Vixana is also open to take.
Vixana is open, a lot more. They could actually, with their lineup, they have the late game insurance. They could still be popping off. There's Eudora is still open, I believe. But then what the matchup is going to be with the Zushin, it's going to be pretty hard to lane. Because right now, UE has a very strong laning phase.
Yep, maybe even a Lilia could come out if ever they do want to fight against this Belleric head-on. The Minotaur also hates playing around that Lilia. So it's going to be interesting what the choice here is for DLSU, considering that Aaron Lim, their mid laner, was the finals MVP from last season.
With a wide hero pool, knowing the fact that he has juggled so many hats or worn so many hats, we're going to be seeing something, maybe, I believe it's going to be something very unique, but it seems like DLSU is ready with their pickup, and it's going to be that Lilia, really stunting the lineup of UE, especially with how much she thrives on how immobile these tanky frontliners are on the side of UE.
That's true. And now, with the lineups already secured, a Hirara versus Suyo matchup. This is something that we've seen for the past few days of professional play as well. Now in collegiate, in the Premier Collegiate League, UAAP Esports. Meanwhile, in the Rome, it's going to be a Minotaur against a revamped Kaja. It'll be very interesting to see how that matches out, considering that there is a slight window of CC immunity for that Minoan Fury.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty excited to see how the interaction's going to be, especially if you Minoan's Fury in the Divine Binding. So what's going to happen? Are you going to be dragged? Are you going to be canceled? It's going to be a different ball game we're about to see, because the lockdowns are real from both teams, but it's a matter of time. It's going to be a matter of securing that late game to make sure that their win conditions, their gold laners pop off.
And it seems that we are heading towards the Land of Dawn for game number 2. Once again, this is University of the East versus De La Salle University, with DLSU already securing game number 1, looking to score 3 points if they sweep UE, but UE wants to deny them of that and get their point instead.
We're seeing it now in the Land of Dawn. We're seeing yet again deja vu, but this time it's DLSU being given the pressure coming from the side of UE. Halika was able to lift up Lim, and this might just be first blood. But then it's suddenly Godoy just being that, we are seeing that MVP in him from game number 1, just tanking it through and making sure that Lim survives.
Well, at least they did get that Purify and the Flicker off of the mid laners. That's a lot of battle spells already burned in the first minute of the game. And Santos and Sanchez, Santos should have a clear advantage against this Claude. If he loses out of the Gold Crab, it's going to be a big problem if DLSU compounds that gold coming in from the Gold Crab. very silent line of Dawn so far. Nobody wanting to take the big risks.
They're taking it. They're taking their time. This is a crucial game for both teams. So it's up to UE if they want to 1-1 it to get that 1 point, or DLSU. The pressure's on for them to secure that early game 2-0, that 3 points, to make sure that they have a good placement here in the first day. But now, speaking of placement, Godoy was able to juke out that stun coming from Kabigting.
Yeah, and that was a great dodge coming in from Godoy. Might have been very painful if ever that stun did land coming in from Kabigting. Kabigting gets a bit of damage off of Ong, but Ong playing this Barrett's fairly tanky. This is going to be very interesting if Godoy tries to steal it with a passive. But it seems that it's not going to work out, as Federizo will be the one able to take that. No, Kabigting with the arrow will be the one taking that, as the turtle will be started. This is the first turtle of the game. Godoy will be able to provide vision.
This is now, we're seeing actually the impact of the new map, or our map right now, the broken walls. There are multiple choke points. But speaking of choke points, there is the Wrath of the Dryad with Kabigting connecting. Godoy goes down. But all the while, we see that DLSU not going out without a fight. Lim frontlining with the black shoes. But now there is that Daytona's welcome to eat Tati. But Tating goes down. Kabigting secures the turtle. And right on time. Minoan's Fury happens to be on Bartolo.
University of the East getting that 1K gold lead after getting 3 kills and a turtle. This is really good for University of the East, considering that they want to get at least that mid-game power spike faster than DLSU, considering that Tating is once again rocking this Hirara. This Suyo is very snowball dependent, and he's getting what he wants early on.
Early on indeed, because right now, Kabigting, we saw how tanky the other heroes are on the side of DLSU. The fact that Kabigting gets an early start, meaning he's gonna hit his power spikes a lot more, his item spikes a lot quicker. It just goes to show that as long as you get that snowball on that Suyu, he's gonna be a threat no matter how tanky you are.
That's true. And this Suyu, as of now, 0-0 and 3 in the hands of Kabigting. Unfortunate that he's not able to get his own kills, but still better than not getting anything at all, as they have this 1K gold lead against DLSU. Lim already has his Purify, which means that University of the East, they have to play it carefully in this mid lane. 50 seconds before the next turtle spawns. DLSU is just patiently farming once again.
DLSU, they kind of have to get back what they lost from the early game, because that is a 3-1. That is almost a 2,000 gold lead onto the side of UE. Very different from their start early on from game number 1 with that 50-50. Now we're seeing an exchange wherein it's really a matter of the gold laners having a free game, because everyone, it's a 4+1 scenario right here, because everyone's just skirmishing all the while. They make sure that they create enough space for their gold laners to farm.
I think this is a trade-off that DLSU had with drafting this Lilia. Sure, you have a very self-sustaining mid laner in the hands of Aaron Lim, but without a direct combo towards Godoy, they can't freely start fights with the Divine Binding. If they did get, let's say, a Vexana or maybe even a Eudora, they could pull the trigger anytime. But right now, they did go for the safer route, which makes sense. If this reaches late game, this Lilia will pay off. In University of the East, it seems that they'd have to at least get a bit of items here for Santos.
And speaking of Santos, he's able to juke out the Divine Bindings, but that is gold plates for Sanchez. Santos trying to stem the bleeding. The trade for the top lane engagement, but now UE with that Minoan Fury to set it all up. That thing goes down, but all the while, Kalika trying to prevent any more damage. Santos goes to kill Lim. Now that is going to be more pressure coming from UE. UE suddenly snowballing this game with their lineup just because they have so much threat on board.
Wow, Muddles sent to a former teammate with kind regards. Now, Santos 101 getting a turret as well. Lim 0-1 and tapping 0-2 in this game. Not the spectacular start that DLSU wanted in this game number 2. Now ahead by around 3,000 gold. University of the East will continue pushing up top.
The pressure is on, and UE is the one to take it now. They're the ones with the gold lead. We're seeing careful playing, controlled aggression coming from UE. They know that they have the lead, but it's not over yet. Right now, we're checking out the items. Currently, it's a difference between the Trinity build, but rather 500 to 800 gold onto the side of Santos. Santos just trying to make sure that he farms faster, join the team fights a lot more, because the numbers advantage for this team fight with the Muddles, making sure that it always connects with the Wrath of the Dry to make sure that he has that game impact, that team fight impact.
And as projected, this is UE's win condition. Get ahead and towards the mid-game. Use this power spike from the Melissa towards the mid-game to secure better map pressure. And DLSU will be playing from behind this time around. Godoy needs to find a play here for University of the East as the Models deals a lot of damage once again for University of the East. 15 seconds before the next turtle spawns, and that's going to be the last turtle of the game. Tating giving a good spread out here with some split push.
We're seeing a mix-up or a change-up in the game plans because we're now seeing that Tating or DLSU is the one delivering that side lane pressure. Now we're seeing UE then slowly get that vision, trying to secure this turtle rather. But now it's gonna be DLSU. The question is, are they gonna be contesting? Because this gold lead is not some easy picking, because right now Federizo with their gold lead trying to set something up.
Bartolo right in the middle. Minoa Fury casted onto one. They try to get the front line. It seems that Ong looks to be the next target. Great setup coming in from Federizo. Forces out the BMI from Sanchez. And Calica will be tanking a few turret hits. But University of the East gets one kill.
They get one kill, and that's all they need now. DLSU looking for farm. We are seeing that, yes, their lineup is late game. They have the late game insurance policy. But the question is, with how the map state or the map is looking, they're going to be starving. They're going to be looking to try to get that farm for at least evenly split onto Lim and Sanchez. The question is, how far is it going to take? How long is it going to take? Because now there's a 1v1 here in the bot lane.
Godoy.
It's going to be a slow push, but the conceal does not follow through.
Good attempt coming in from DLSU, but UE already ahead by quite a lot. Kabik being able to leave before that Divine Binding was even thrown. And DLSU just continuing to defend this mid lane. A lot of pressure exerted by Santos with that Muddles. It's really hard for DLSU to stay alive in front of that dog.
Yeah, I think this is the beauty of the Melissa actually. She peels for herself. She does not need someone or a frontliner to peel for her. Though the Minotaur and the Belleric are a good bonus, they add another layer of defense because we have yet to see Santos actually use Go Away, I believe.
Yeah, I think you only used once towards the topside battle early on, around 3 minutes ago. And to be fair, Godoy hasn't been able to find those chances, but Ong has the equal opportunity to find place as well with the Detona's welcome. So DLSU, they have the damage, they just have to land the stuns first. And whoever pulls the trigger first here, I feel like could definitely secure a winning fight. But it seems that UE will be playing it safe, going in towards this Lord area. And Federizo forced to defend, pulled in towards the Wrath of the Dryad. Lord secured for University of the East. They decide to fight. They're going to go for Lim instead. Lim not even able to pop the black shoes. 2 people down for DLSU. And UE gets the Lord and more.
They got the cake and they got the icing on the cake. They were able to take 2 members out of DLSU. This is the damage they have. Though they were able to get, Godoy was able to get that pick off onto Federizo. He just delivered them a Wrath of the Dryads, and that's what set up the whole engagement. So suddenly, the name of the game was not about who engages first, but who has a stronger counter engage to address the pressure that each team is giving each other.
Yeah, that's true. And I think this is the sad part here for De La Salle University. You have a great ultimate coming in from Godoy, the Divine Binding getting at least 1 to 2 targets, but it cannot be with Bartolo or Federizo anymore. At the moment that you pull Bartolo or Federizo towards your team, you're giving a free Minoan Fury or giving yourself a free Wrath of the Dry to the face, which both things you don't like. So for University East, the game plan is simple. Just stick to your tanks. Try to get your turrets as they march up top.
We're seeing a slow march, but the Muddles is just delivering so much damage. Half on Sanchez, a third on Lim. This is just the first Lord of the game, but UE is getting so much out of it. They popped 2 Holy Shield, they got the top inhibitor turret. Now it's just looking like game number 1, but this time it's UE on the other side.
Just a lot of value from that one Lord alone for University of the East. This Purify from Santos has not been touched for majority of this game. DLSU slowly but surely is losing grasp of this game. They really have to find at least one working fight for them.
Slowly but surely is the name of the game, because right now they're building up and waiting on the timings on Lim and Sanchez. Sanchez, 1 assist to his name means that he still has a fighting chance. He just needs to find a position, and Godoy needs to be the one to set it up for him.
Maybe once the Trinity is done and the Wind of Nature or the winner's crown for Sanchez here, a lot of waiting to do, a lot of farming to get, and a lot of waiting to do for DLSU. And maybe time is not on their side. University of the East is already setting up to at least get more out of the map control that they've earned for the past few minutes.
Yes, and now they're waiting for the opportunity to strike back. But right now, they are searching for that win condition. All the while right now, we're seeing them be a bit proactive. We see them shoving the lanes, making sure that they could still manage it, making sure that not all 3 lanes collapse onto their base all at the same time. The way they're playing this game very proactively is a huge plus, especially with DLSU. Looking to play aggressive means that they still have that fire, they still have that fight in them.
With the complete battle spells too. De La Salle University could go try and fight against a potential Lord take that University of the East might go for. But again, these are all theoreticals. We're not sure if University of the East wants to get this Lord or just wants to go for a straight up fight. Either way, DLSU is already behind by around a big margin here, around 7,000, 8,000 gold, which forces Tating to show himself down bottom lane. But it's going to be a quick route going to the Lord as a Hirara. And it seems that University of the East will be getting this Lord for free. DLSU, on the other hand, going in for other trades instead.
They got that Lord, they got it for free, and right now it's just a matter, it's a management game for DLSU right now. They have to manage the threats, they have to manage the lanes, they have to play this right, but Tating left all alone against 4, trying to iframe everything all at once. But now it was just a show. Tating goes down on 4 members of UE.
And I think that's just a smart thing to do. Just offer yourself up. If you prolong that and UE prolongs it even more, you might not be alive the moment that the Lord comes in. So at least if DLSU is able to buy off around 15 to 20 seconds the moment the Lord marches in, Tating will be already alive to defend with them.
They're looking for that set. They need Godoy to activate. 1 good set is all it takes to start this castle to crumble. 1 good setup is all it takes for this ball to get rolling.
Wow.
And now we're seeing lanes being shoved in. Inhibitor turret in the mid lane being taken out. The bottom lane might be next, but there's something going on onto the side of DLSU.
Godoy, he does find 2. Federizo and Bartolo out of that fight for now. But it looks like nice stun coming in from the centers of University of the East. They get on. It's a 4v5 scenario. Kabigting looks to be the next target, and Tating finds him. Sanchez is untouchable in this fight. And Tating in the back line fights Kalika. Federizo and Bartolo protecting Santos. It's going to be the trio of University of the East against the quadro of DLSU. They're gonna go for Godoy. Godoy looks to be the next target. Muddles right on top. A killing spree for Santos as he tries to find Lim. The glooms are there, but DLSU able to defend.
That would be the best case scenario to happen for DLSU. They were able to lose only 1 inhibitor turret, but they were able to successfully defend. Though they did lose more members on their side, the fact that they still are alive and running in this game means there's still a chance for them to come back. But right now, UE needs to find a way, reassess, reorganize, figure out their win condition, and visualize how they're going to secure this in the latter half of the game.
Yeah, and that was a great counter engage coming in from Federizo. I swear, there were multiple instances in that fight that could have already been finished for University of the East. But DLSU, I think Tating's heroics in that fight was quite evident. Able to go to the backside, gets a kill off of Kalika. And again, that all started out with Godoy removing Federizo and Bartolo out of that fight. But University of the East with Santos, great positioning onto this Melissa, still deathless in this game 15 minutes in. And a big rotation coming in from DLSU. Godoy finds none. Bartolo onto the front of 4 people, gets bursted down but able to heal himself up. And look at the damage coming in from Santos. Lim looks to be in trouble, pops the Purify, and he's able to stay alive 5 seconds before the next Lord.
That was kind of a fumble on the side of DLSU, though they were able to retreat with no man being lost in their lineup. Though that does imply that this Lord dance could potentially be free to take for UE as they are holding it now. We're gonna be it's gonna be a matter of managing the waves, and Tating is doing that ASAP, making sure that he still has that pressure, making sure that waves are not gonna be crashing. Because for all the reasons, they need to make sure that the Lord in the short lane, in the mid lane, marching down later, will not be meeting up with his friends in their base.
That's true. And the moment that the Lord does march in inside the base, it could be just as good as over, considering that a lot of the AoE damages coming in from University of the East could just wipe out the minions and allow the Lord to freely hit the base. And now DLSU with potentially one of their hardest defenses.
The defense is going to be tough because we are seeing 2 inhibitor turrets gone on the side of DLSU, and they have no info yet on all the members of UE. The Lord is now marching down. They're trying to bring it to the top side, but all the while, in the bot lane, Lim was forced to use the Black Shoes, and the Divine Judgment, Divine Bindings has been used up right now.
Wow.
There is a setup coming from Ong, getting rid of them, but then Sanchez goes in with a Blazing Duet, trying to secure, trying to make sure that they can defend this successfully. Sanchez was not going down without a fight, but there they go. UE with the Lord, secure game number 2, equalizing the best of 2.
Wow! Spectacular effort from the Red Warriors. University of the East able to score a game against the defending champions DLSU, scoring a point from themselves, denying DLSU of 3 points.
They are champions for a reason, or they were champions for a reason. And with this, the debut of UAAP MLBB Day 1 with a battle of champions, ending up tied with both champions.
And wow, what a spectacular start for the day. This is just day 1 of UAAP MLBB Esports 2026. And for those who tuned in at home in the UAAP Varsity channel, the One Sports YouTube channel, and Pilipinas Live, I hope you've enjoyed our first match. There are tons more to show for today, with our next match being Ateneo versus Adamson University. So if you have Atenean friends from Adamson, call them up, watch the games. It's gonna be another best of 2.
Yeah, and if this is going to be an inkling of what we're going to be seeing today, it's going to be an all-out competitive day for MLBB. We've been saying this is the new era, the most competitive era of MLBB. Yeah, you get to see it right now with 2 champions duking it out, securing 1 point each in their bracket.
And wow, Santos in this game definitely played really well onto this Melissa, and we're about to see who's the MVP is coming in from UE, but definitely this was such a big team effort. Everybody played their role really well against De La Salle University. If I were to choose a silent MVP, I'd definitely give it to Federizo.
Exactly.
A lot of great flicker engagements coming in from this Beleric. It is silent, but very effective.
Yeah, exactly. He's much like the Scottie Pippen, I guess, the best way to put it, because every time Bartolo is the one to set it all up, when he's the one prevented from doing the Minoan Fury, Federizo was always there, making sure that he was there with the assist to make sure that they were able to secure that game. That is just the duo of the frontliners right there. There's someone who sets up, there's someone who's always got your back.
That's true. And so far for the drafts here in game number 2, I really think that for DLSU, that would have been a very good Vexana or Eudora, but things has already happened. And our MVP of game number 2 from University of the East would be Santos, their gold laner and captain, with a perfect game, deathless in this game.
The way Santos just played the Melissa was just a masterclass, I'd say. Yes, he had 2 frontliners, but he could also fend for himself. The way he was just able to get that trust, we saw it, because we saw there was already trust on him as the gold laner in game number 1. More so now, the way they were able to activate him, and they just put all the eggs in the Santos basket.
That's true. And Santos in this game, we did see glimpses of what he could do in game number 1 with his Moskov. But this time around, that Melissa first pick on the blue side, it seems that they've planned this out all along. Give Santos the game that he needs to carry UE to winning that game number 2 and getting a point off of DLSU.
Exactly. You got to consider the way they were playing. Yes, he is the team captain. There was a lot of pressure on him to call the shots, to be able to secure them the game. But then you could see the way they have so much chemistry together as a team just proves that they play around him. He will be able to carry them as he is their captain. And as you've seen in the interviews that he's had, he mentioned about having that chemistry, being friends with them, his team.
Oh yeah, and what a great debut as well for both squads here, showing everyone that they could perform towards a high level. Our opening match between University of the East and De La Salle University ending to a 1-for-1, which means that they will be getting 1 point each.
Exactly. It's gonna be a very strong competitive group A, I believe. It's gonna be the champions, the placers from our previous seasons are all in that group A, and all the while we've seen an inkling of both champion teams to them.
Oh yeah, and that's it. Our first best of 2 of the day. We will have more best of 2s in store for you, but right now we'll be throwing you over to our hosts.
Ladies and gentlemen, DLSU versus UE, ending with a draw. But of course, UE gets the last laugh for game number 2. Santos, congratulations to your team. First of all, DLSU did not make it easy for your team. Nabawian na for match number 1, and now getting back to match number 2. Of course, you have so much in mind. What was the strategy behind that comeback play?
Yung strategy kasi namin is laruin lang yung laro namin. Yung game mo naman, lamang kami ng early, talagang nagkakingkoyan lang siguro sa calls, pero that's okay. Sa game 2, bumawi kami, reset, tapos bawi, and dinaro yung laro namin.
Alright, that's really awesome. And of course, a huge shout out as well to Bartolo, also making the plays for you guys to make those windows of opportunity really work for your team, no? And of course, entering this match, no, opening match of the season for MLBB, what was the mindset going to your team entering this game?
Same lang, laruin yung laro namin. Hindi namin kailangan alalahanin kung sino yung kalaban. We just have to play our games and win.
Awesome. And of course, we'll hear more from the UE Red Warriors, especially from their fans. But now, let's throw the side to Angelica and DLSU.
UAAP fans, beside me is our Match 1 MVP, Sanchez. So Sanchez, congratulations. It was a win for Match 1, but of course on Match 2, you faced some struggles. Can you tell me what are those and how do you plan to overcome it on the upcoming games?
Feel ko okay naman yung ginawa namin. May plan naman kami. Hindi lang namin na-execute ng maayos. And siguro moving forward, kailangan lang namin mag-reset ulit and then balik lang kami ulit sa laro, stick lang sa plan, tiwala lang sa coach.
And from that, what can we expect from DLSU on the next games?
Mas gagalingan pa namin and bibigay namin yung best namin.
Lastly, do you have any messages to our fans and your supporters?
Shoutout sa mama ko, sa kapatid ko, sa pinsan ko na nandito. And ayun, bibigyan namin kayo ng magandang laban ulit bukas.
Once again, our MVP for Match 1, Sanchez.
And once again, thank you so much, Angelica, for those kind words with DLSU. And of course, UE giving that 1-1 series. But of course, we have more matches coming in for today. Of course, coming up next,
our Match 2.
Our match number 2 for today is the Ateneo Blue Eagles versus the Adamson Soaring Falcons. We have a lot in store, still live on the UAAP Varsity Channel, Pilipinas Live, and One Sports. Once again, my name is Rexler Bayani.
And I am Angelica Sarmiento, and this is MLBB Day 1.
Of